Competition is one of the driving forces of innovation, and that is something, competition, that Samsung has surely needed in terms of foldables. Now, we've seen Samsung pretty much release the same foldables for the past 3 generations, and they started to make some inroads with the Z Fold 6 line, and they did make a couple of changes that the fans were looking for. And it looks like that competition is starting to pay off, as Samsung is looking to make some necessary changes to the Z Fold 7 lineup that I'm sure foldable fans and Galaxy Z Fold fans will appreciate. So in this video, guys, tag along with me as we discuss what those necessary changes are to the Z Fold 7 lineup. But before we dive deep into all the information, if you're new to the channel and enjoy staying up to date with the latest tech news, you landed at the right spot. Do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and hit that like button if you enjoy this video. All right, let's take a look at this. So first article of 3 that I have that I want to go over today, Samsung's continue to tease the thin and light Galaxy Z Fold 7. Now, this is an article out of Talk Android. So over the past week or so, there has been a lot of information about the Galaxy Z Fold 7, and I could have made a video a week ago when some of the first information started to drop, but I figured, let's just wait. There's going to be more information. And surely pretty much every other day, there was a little bit more teasers from Samsung, a little bit more information that has come out. So now I came to the point where I think we have a good enough information that I feel comfortable with making a video. That way I can give you a good amount of information about what the Z Fold 7 lineup is going to look like and what are some of the changes that Samsung is expected to do. So let's get going here. Samsung was one of the 2 mainstream companies to be at the very start of the foldable journey alongside Motorola. While it was a pioneer in the new market segment, it didn't take long for competition to overtake Samsung's efforts and release devices that were arguably a lot more compelling. Yeah, I talked about that in my intro, the lack of innovation. I think Samsung's with the 5, 4, and 3 pretty much have the same hardware for the most part, except for the chip that they upgrade each year, like the cameras, the batteries, the RAM, all the stuff were pretty much the same. Then we started to see some differences with the 6 and the 7. I think it's going to, make definitely some necessary changes. Let's keep going here. About a week ago, Samsung dropped a press release talking about the next chapter of Ultra, and the sole graphic on the page was a video of a folding phone. Needless to say, the company's next launch being related to its foldables, it seemed like there was going to be a Z Fold Ultra this year. So that was another one of the rumors that were floating around, that there may be an Ultra phone in addition to the regular Z Fold. We're talking about a Z Fold 7 Ultra, but that is not the case. I think what they're basically just talking about in this article goes on to say that we're just going to be talking about ultra performance from this Galaxy Z Fold 7, not a separate phone. I think a lot of people would probably embrace a ultra phone. This is something I probably talked about the Z Fold 6 when it first came out, that there was rumors about an ultra of that, and there were people who would have liked to see an ultra model. Again, it would have been more expensive, but if the specs and everything were bumped up or beefed up, then I think some people would have been willing to pay even more money for a foldable phone. Let's continue here. Even though it had nothing to do with its performance, one aspect where foldable phones are heavily scrutinized is in their dimensions. The Z Fold 6 had a thickness of 5.6 millimeters when folded, and according to rumors and Samsung's own teasing, the Z Fold 7 won't just be thinner than its predecessor, but it might be the thinnest foldable in the world. Yes, now that is the thing that we've been clamoring for Samsung to do. We've seen competition pushed out there by Honor, Oppo, even Galaxy, even Samsung as well. Not Samsung, but Google. They have been putting out phones that have been, pushing tech and pushing the thinness, especially when you look at Oppo and Magic. They have got some of the thinnest phones out there, and it looks like Samsung is finally taking that message and going to try to make the thinnest phone, and that's going to obviously depend on what the Honor Magic V5 will be when that drops. So we don't know what the dimensions are of that phone yet, but if anything was to give us an inclination of it, the Magic V3 was 4.4 millimeters thin, and I'm assuming the vibe will probably be sub 4, so it may be 3.9, maybe 3.8, but we'll see once we get the information. We don't have that information about the Magic V Fold 5 yet, but it's another video. I may touch on that in another video. So we can take a look at this table here. So rumored, again, 3.9 millimeters. The Z Fold Special Edition, which was released last year in just 2 market, was 4.9 millimeters thick, and Z Fold 6 was 5.6 millimeters. You see how it compares to some of the other competition, Oppo 5N5, Find N5 4.2, and again with the Honor Magic V3 4.4. So again, it looks like Samsung is going for that title of the thinnest foldable phone, but again, that remains to be seen when the Magic V5 is dropping. But that is definitely good news, and I think a lot of people will be happy to hear that information. Some more things that we have about their next Unpacked event, which this device will be shown at. Massive Samsung leak tips, Galaxy Z Fold and Z Flip 7 features. Here's what we want to see at Unpacked. Obviously, Gemini and AI. Samsung is going to spend a good chunk of the Unpacked discussing Google's Gemini AI model and how it integrates with the Z Fold and the Z Flip 7. So you obviously, with these devices, on AI is a big selling point. And they're going to be going all in, which is a departure from what Apple recently did, where they didn't really touch on AI at all pretty much in their most recently WWDC, but expect Samsung to go ham, go all the way in it. One of the highlights could be Gemini Live, was that you speak with the chatbot. You can also use your camera to see things or images and files as prompts for Gemini. Now, when Gemini was first released, after its debacle with how it portrayed the original forefathers, it couldn't get images right. Colors of the forefathers was way off. I pretty much just shoved Gemini to the curb, didn't use it anymore. I was done with it. But with Gemini 2.5 and 2.5 Pro, Google has made concerted effort, and Gemini is actually pretty darn good at this point. Now I've used it for some other things recently, and it's pretty good, but we're going to go on for that. Another changes we're going to see is improved camera. So as it will get the 200 megapixel camera, which is the same as the Z Fold Ultimate Z Fold Special Edition that was released last year. So again, that's the upgrade compared to the 5 or the regular 6. Better camera, better pictures. There's a major upgrade over the 50 megapixel camera from the Z Fold 6. So a huge upgrade for Samsung. Alongside with new camera, Samsung will apparently discuss next generation Pro Visual Engine and log video. It's not clear if this is an update to a suite of AI tools that enable things like zooms at night and making images sharper. So yes, expect that as well. And obviously thinner and lighter, I've already talked about that. In terms of the weight of the Z Fold 7 will weigh 215 grams. It's about 7.5 ounces, which is about 3 grams less than the Z with the S25 Ultra, or an ounce less. That weight should be more noticeable compared to the Z Fold 6, which is 8.4 ounces, so about 239 grams for that. So a lot lighter, almost an ounce lighter than the previous Z Fold 6. So again, love to hear these changes that Samsung is making. Looks like they are committed to making a ultra phone. The last article here, the Galaxy Z Fold 7 detail confirms what fans are hoping for. Now, this article goes over some of the more specs about the phone. So we know that it's going to use the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, not the Elite Gen 2, because the Elite Gen 2 chip doesn't come out until September, late September at the Snapdragon Summit. So this phone is going to be shown in July, so it's going to miss that. So that is a little bit of a bummer that it is using a 1-year-old chipset at this point, but you know, it's still a top of the line chip until the Gen 2 comes out. So other than that, we do have some specs here. Obviously, you're going to have 5G, Wi-Fi 7, ultra wideband, wireless charging, and reverse wireless charging. Okay, boring stuff out the way. But let's take a look at the size of the displays. The main display, when it's unfolded, is going to be 8.2 inches, and of course, that's an AMOLED 120 hertz refresh rate. The cover screen, when it's folded, 6.5-inch AMOLED FHD plus, 120 hertz as well. Rear cameras, again, I've talked about that too. 100 megapixel camera plus a 12 megapixel ultra wide and a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto. The front camera, so your selfie, a 10 megapixel and a 4 megapixel under display photo screen. So again, that's the worst camera on the device, but it's just one and a half, and the battery is 4,400 milliamps with wireless charging and power sharing. And software, obviously Android 16 and 1 UI 8.0 is expected to be launched with that. Now the battery, of course, is a little disappointing, as Samsung is very slow and seemingly very scared to ramp up that ampage on their batteries, their milliamps on the batteries, because we know about the Note 7 debacle and how phones were exploding. So I think Samsung is taking it very cautious with their batteries in their phones, and they are not making a big push. I mean, you're very lucky if you get most of their phones to go above what, 5,500 milliamps, maybe with the Galaxy Z25 Ultra, maybe. I think, but I could be wrong. I think it's probably about 5,000 milliamps or so. But they're taking that slow. That's the one area where the competitors will definitely crush them on in terms of the batteries. But at least in the other areas, they are definitely making some changes, and it is good to see that they are embracing the design changes, and the competition is forcing them to make the necessary changes to make the foldable phone smaller and lighter to compete with what is going on out there. So let me know what you guys think about those changes for the Galaxy Z Fold 7 that we have here. Do you appreciate the thinness that they're going for? Do you think they're going to achieve that notable thinnest phone on the market when it does come out? And if this is something that was holding you back from it, is this something that can make you actually jump in and make that purchase? Let me know down in the comment section. Once again, thank you guys for taking the time out to watch this video. Again, if you enjoy this type of content, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. And chances are, if you enjoy this type of content, you may have friends or family that enjoy this as well. So please make sure you share this with them. Also, if you want to stay up to date with the latest tech news, head over to sounds30.com, where I curate and aggregate tech news from around the web, covering Apple, Samsung, Google, Android, computing, and even more general tech news, all at the website sounds30.com. And for even more tech news in video form, check out one of these two videos right here. Until next video, guys, stay nerdy.